is a ton to go over on tonight's NBA DFS slate. 13 games. So what we did, we added Adam to this one. We're even going to add some more time onto this. Usually we're around 25, 30 minutes. We're going to go even longer than that. There is a ton to break down here, and we're already late doing it because of me. So let's get into it. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. I'm joined by Ghost. Follow me at DFS_Ghost, and my guy Adam as well, Buck and for life. All right, guys. So I like doing, obviously different slates, different lineup builds. Yesterday was a smaller slate, so Ghost and I kind of just went through some of the tips that you can use to build a 3-game slate. But, and we'll start with Adam on this one, how do you build on a 13-game slate? Like, what are some of the things that you have to do?
Well, it's kind of funny because yesterday it turned into just jam every possible Philadelphia 76er into your lineup and figure out the rest. And here we are, there's 10 more games, and if projected rostership tells you everything, it's just jam as many Nuggets as you can into your lineup and then figure out the rest. So it's kind of weird. We were talking before we jumped on, and I don't know who people are spending up on. DK did get really aggressive with their pricing, and I understand that, but if you just plug in 5 or 6 of the top projected owned guys, you have $9K to play around with per roster slot. So that actually makes it fun for me, even on a bigger slate, because I have a ton of options I can do.
Yeah, Ghost, what about you? What is your strategy here on a 13-game slate? And do you like it? Because I've been in Discord chat, mostly just seeing it's in chaos right now. It's in flames. Not the good flame emojis, the bad flames, like SpongeBob running around in his own head and papers flying around and flames going everywhere because it's chaos kind of flames. But is it that chaotic to you, or do you like kind of sifting through the chaos?
No, it's not chaotic at all. I actually really enjoy it. To me, it's
nice.
I live for the spotlight. So being able to get a big slate like this it separates you from the pack, and all you have to do is take the same approach that we do every other slate. You look at the most elite game environments and you just start crossing them off one by one. Because if you're playing guys in the slowest paced environment with the best defensive teams, etc., you're likely not winning any money at all, let alone a ton tonight. So there's a few really good juicy matchups. You concentrate your player build on that one. Your 13-game slate turns into a 6-7 game slate, and then off you go.
You sounded like a former athlete when you said all that. It's like you almost played sports or something. I don't know.
Yeah, almost a little bit.
A little bit. So, okay, let's do it. We got to get into this slate. Now, I know, Adam, one thing that you definitely highlighted in the article, which you could check out at windailysports.com. By the way, all of this is sponsored by the Sharp app, sharp.link. All the ways you can download the Sharp app, Google Play Store, Apple App Store. But sharp.link, go to that, and you can download the Sharp app. But, Adam, I know you were discussing on the Ghost Gems article that in these slates, you kind of have to – Ghost said plant your flag in the 3-game, but you were in a different way. You were kind of just like, hey, let's throw away some of these games that we're just not going to use and not target. Why is that?
Because if you just assume, let's say each team has 8 players that are fantasy viable to some extent, you multiply that by 26, you have a hell of a lot of players for 8 roster slots. Yeah. And at the end of the day, everyone else has the same 8 roster spots you have, man. It's no different than any other slate. So if you just if 13 is just way too much to think of, you just start going down the list. Okay, let's say Toronto and Boston has a 206 total. It's the second lowest on the board. Okay, so throw that one away. You're just not going to use any Raptor players. You're not going to use any Celtics, and make your peace with that. And just go down that list and start checking games off that you don't really want a part of. And it's kind of funny because the lowest total game on the slate is one of the most popular tonight. Because the Pacers and Nuggets, because with no Jokic, no Michael Porter, it has all the value, but it also has the lowest total of 205. Meanwhile, we have a game between Charlotte and Memphis that has a 25-point higher over-under. And a 230 over-under at the start of the NBA season is crazy. With all the new rules going into effect and them actually sticking to it, teams aren't getting free points anymore. A 230 over-under is massive so far this season.
Yeah, I actually love that matchup a lot. So let's get into some of these, and we'll probably end up going even more over some of those games that we're just going to stay away from. But as I always like to do, let's just start off at the top here, because obviously with 13 games means we have plenty. I mean, look at all that 10K. Look at the 11K. Of course, you out. We have a questionable tag on Davis, but there is a bleeping ton here to go over when it comes to studs. So, Ghost, I'll start with you on this one. How do you approach kind of getting your studs, or how many studs you even want in this one? Is this fully a stars and scrubs, and I mean like scrub approach? Just how do you approach this for 13 games and this many options at the top?
What makes today interesting too is that there are a ton of guys that are priced up. Right. So
Yeah.
it's not your typical stud pricing, because we've never seen this many players above $10,000
is at 10.
ever. Right. And we were playing him at 8.5, 8.6, 8.7 when he was dropping 60 DK. And that was really fun.
Jump.
That was a lot of fun, but gone are those days. So, you have way more options at that 10K threshold than you usually do. And there are a ton of guys that are finally getting the respect that they deserve. But, it kind of makes people shy away from that, because they're going to say, wow, I'm paying $10,000 for LaMelo Ball. Like, no, that's usually what I could pay a couple $100 more. And usually I get James Harden or Kevin Durant or Nikola Jokic. Right. And it's like, well, not tonight. And if this is the way the pricing is tonight, it's likely a reflection of what it's going to be like on Friday, where we have another good slate there. So, you really just have to stick to the same plan. And I want studs that are in elite game environments as well. And for me, it's before I even look at individual prices, and I do the same thing when I'm writing too. The very last thing that I'll do in my article is put down players' prices on both Draftkings and Fanduel, because to me, it's completely irrelevant. I look at the elite game environments, and then after that, I'll look at the individual plays. So for me tonight, when I circle Milwaukee, New York with two, pretty tight rotations. Milwaukee obviously dealing with a ton of COVID cases and a ton of injuries. And then any team that Tibbs coaches is essentially a 6-man rotation. So they could have 35 guys that are healthy, and it'll still be a 6-man rotation for Tibbs in New York. So I have interest in that game. Then that's when I get down to the individual plays and I see 12.3 for Giannis, and there is no chance of paying 12.3 for Giannis on a slate like this. Right. So that's kind of the process for me, where it remains the same. It's all about the elite game environments. And then after that, I'll look at which studs that I want. And then very last step, I'll check the price and I'll see if it's feasible or not.
Yeah. So Adam, what about you? How are you kind of sifting through a lot of these guys over in the 10K range? Because to Ghost's point, like some of these guys are priced way up than what they usually are. Oh, I think Adam muted himself.
Sorry, if I'm looking at guys like Giannis that are that much money, but I do want some exposure here, you just start looking at the cheaper end on the same team. So for Giannis, okay, we're not going to pay $12K. It's just too much. Like, that's cool. But now we have Grayson Allen at 5,100. Now we have Bobby Portis at 5,500. Portis just stuffs the stat sheet. He can rebound. He can assist. He can score. He can do a little bit of everything. He'll throw in a block and a steal. Like, that adds up over the course of 30-plus minutes that he's playing right now. Grayson Allen, he's one of only 5 players that has hit at least 2 3-pointers in every single game this year. The Knicks are the 3rd worst team in 3-point attempts and frequency given up. So there's still ways to get a piece of these games, even if you don't want to pay that high of a price for a stud player.
Yeah, and 12.3 is very high.
It's too much.
So have we narrowed down? And again, Ghost, I'll start with you. Narrowed down a couple of players that you like. Is there a few guys? Not saying like, oh, these are the only guys you're playing, but have you narrowed down kind of the list of the few studs that you do like?
Yeah, it's probably down to 4 for me, excluding the Brooklyn guys, because I feel like they're like that game is it is a bit tough to get a read on right now, because the way Orlando's starting 5 is playing, they're an absolute unit when all 5 of them are on the court together. But man, does their bench absolutely blow. So a little worried there with with the way that they match up against Brooklyn tonight. But for me, it's pretty much down to 4 guys right now: Domantas Sabonis, Julius Randle, and the point guard battle in LaMelo Ball versus Ja Morant. That for me, I'll throw Ja in there, even though he's at 9.9. I'll throw him in that 10K range.
Right,
It's close enough.
counts.
We round up around
He
here.
counts.
Yeah, it's close enough. And if I want to round up even more so than that, I'm also very high on DeJounte Murray tonight. In that I want exposure to that Sacramento San Antonio game too. So if I'm paying up for guys, I want guys that I can see really filling up the stat sheet, and that not only that, it's that they can't be one-dimensional, meaning that all of their fantasy points come from scoring, right? So on the lower range, we see guys like Korkmaz, we see guys like Duncan Robinson, we see guys like Niang last night. Like they'll live and die by how many raw points that they actually put up. Whereas a guy like DeJounte Murray last slate had 28 or 29 DraftKings points. Me and Adam were talking about it in Discord. I forget what the exact number was, but it was 28 or 29 DK, and he hadn't scored yet. He had not scored a basket yet. And the man was almost at 30.
It was something absurd. Yeah.
Like he was almost at 30 DK. Like that for me is a guy that I want. Like he's on triple double watch every single time he takes the floor. Every time. And especially with no Jakob Poeltl, like they need someone that rebounds, and he was already averaging over 8 rebounds a game with Poeltl in the lineup. And now with no Jakob Poeltl, like his rebounding is out of control. His vision has gotten so much better, and he's just seeing the floor with ease and transition. Like I really do like him in the spot in Sacramento. We'll get into that when we go into the actual game, but those are the 5 guys for me. Like outside of that, I'm definitely not playing Jason Tatum against Toronto. That's going to be a hard pass for me. The Brooklyn guys, again, I lean KD over Harden, but it's tough for me to get a read on that game. I'm no chance I'm paying an astronomical price for Giannis. And Steph, well, I'm sorry to say, guys, it was on last show when it was called at 5% when everyone was playing Luka. Steph at 5% against that in that matchup against Atlanta, when he dropped 87 DraftKings points. Ship has sailed. That for me is, I'll wait for the right matchup. Tonight's not it for me, especially coming off one of his best games this season, let alone of his career. So if I am paying up all the way for anyone like that, it is going to be Steph, because I need someone that has a legitimate 50-point triple-double upside. In the way that Steph's been rebounding the ball, he can do it. But outside of that, I'm sticking closer to the 10K mark that I am going up to the 11K plus.
So we did get a question here from our guy John. Ja LaMelo stack. It seemed like you were alluding to that, Ghost.
Oh yeah.
Are we signing off on
really
that?
like that.
Yeah,
I really like it. And what's scary to think is that Charlotte is so bad guarding the interior. They are so bad. Oh my gosh, they're so bad. And they give up a ton of points in the paint. And forget about Memphis. Top 5 points in the paint in the entire league is Ja Morant. And he was leading that category not even a week ago. So to be able to lead the league in points in the paint as a point guard is beyond absurd. And now that he's getting a matchup against Charlotte where his drive rate is through the roof, everyone knows that that's the way Ja gets buckets. It's on the drive. It's on the dribble and drive. He'll get a high screen, whether it's from JJJ, whether it's from a guy like Steven Adams. Like he'll get that high screen and he's driving to the hoop. His mid-range shot and his 3-point shot has gotten extremely better compared to what it was last year. But his bread and butter is still putting the ball on the deck and getting to the hoop. So like seeing Ja in a matchup against a team that simply cannot guard the interior, put aside the love for, usually we attack Charlotte with big men. It's exactly why we loved the Anthony Davis LaMelo stack, which I'm still freaking out about 48 hours later. But that Anthony Davis play against Charlotte was exactly for that. And we attack a lot of we attack a lot of players in this very same spot, usually in the front court. But with Ja being that dominant in the paint, I love LaMelo and Ja going at it tonight.
Adam, this is for you. I'll take it a step further. Are we also adding Murray in there as well? Or is that too much? Are we overkilling
it? That might be a little bit tough to get to. I mean, if you can do it and you're comfortable with the risks that you're taking, you do have the value in the Denver guys. But, to just emphasize what Ghost was saying, there's only one other player that has more points from driving to the hoop in the league so far. And I will say that I'll throw this out here for anybody who this is not betting advice. John Morant's going to score over 24.5 points tonight. But the only other player that has higher points from drives is Malcolm Brogdon, who kind of finds himself in a really good spot at a really, really underpriced salary now because we had Kyrie LeVert ruled out during the day.
Yeah, and let's get to some of the individual matchups here as we are going over the entire massive 13-game NBA DFS slate today. And usually we like to, as Adam was kind of pointing at the beginning, not only take away, 4 or 5 games that you don't like, but also I'm sure that we also highlight games that we like. So, Adam, I'll start with you. What's the first game that you want to highlight here that you like for tonight?
So, I mean, we already kind of talked about, I think, probably the best game environment with the Charlotte game.
Yep.
But I like the Washington-Cleveland game as well. Cleveland
I know
lost
Ghost
Colin
is going to
Sexton.
sign off on that.
Cleveland lost Colin Sexton, and we have Ricky Rubio, who's going to be one of the chalkiest players of the night. No, he's probably not going to start. I don't know if Cleveland has released their starting lineup, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. Ricky Rubio is still going to play 32 to 34 minutes. Without Sexton on the floor, he has an assist rate over 34%. He's probably at least $1,000 too cheap. Like, there's no reason for him to be 5,200 with Colin Sexton out of this lineup. But, if you're going to eat that chalk, you can also kind of take this a different way as well and just pair him with Jared Allen, who has one of the most elite matchups in the paint in the entire night. Like, he has a legitimate shot to go Barbara Walters tonight in 2020.
Is that what we're calling it, Barbara Walters?
Yeah, that's what it's called. The 2020.
Ghost, I know you love Washington matchups, so can you expand anything further on that, or is that the way you would kind of play this as well?
I just nailed it right on the head.
Yeah.
For me, there's no way I'm making a lineup without Ricky Rubio tonight. So
he's
your
Andre Drummond tonight. And that if you don't play him, you're crazy.
All right, so I don't want to say it's to that point. They're on a 13-game slate. Yesterday was a 3-game slate, but yeah, it's pretty close to that. Like,
there you go.
Man's going bonkers every night off the bench, and now you take Colin Sexton, who's one of the high. Like, it doesn't add up when it comes to the advanced data analytics, but just watching basketball, like, he's one of the highest ISO/selfish players this league has to offer right now. So to be able to take him out of the lineup there, you're going to see a ton of pick and roll with Jared Allen, and I'll throw in Evan Mobley, of course, as well, because there's not a day where I don't go talking about Evan Mobley. This guy's an absolute force. I love him. So I will mention Evan Mobley as well, but Jared Allen has an absolute cakewalk of a matchup here, and especially with the way that Cleveland's rotations has been lining up, he's going to see Montrezl Harrell a ton in this game, and that means he's pretty much not seeing anybody. He's not seeing anybody at that point. So I really like Jared Allen and Ricky Rubio, a nice little pick and roll combination where you're getting the Allen buckets and you're getting the Rubio assists at the same time. Good correlation with one another. I really do like that. On the Washington side, one guy that actually grades out really well is Spencer Dinwiddie tonight. So I looked into that because I thought it was pretty interesting, and just that matchup at the 2 is going to be absolutely lethal for him. So with Bradley Beal obviously being that primary ball handler for them, he's going to see a ton of Darius Garland, of course, on the defensive side of that matchup. And Spencer Dinwiddie is likely going to be going up, whether it's against a guy like Isaac Okoro, who's playing his first game tonight in what seems to be forever. He's going to be seeing a ton of backup guards because I don't foresee Ricky Rubio starting in this game, because at that point, Cleveland will not be comfortable with who they have coming off the bench. So I really do think Rubio plays a solid 34 plus minutes off the bench for them tonight. But again, Dinwiddie does have a good matchup. I just don't know if I can get there in terms of the way that my lineup grades out. And especially with the amount that point guard is loaded tonight, no one's playing him. So if you want to get a little different, the only reason why I'm not 100% sold on that is because if you're playing a Rubio Dinwiddie stack, you can't play the Ja LaMelo stack because all these guys are point guard only eligible. So That's what makes it a little tough for me. And there's no way I'm excluding Ricky Rubio out of my lineup tonight. So Dinwiddie's likely going to be the fallout. But again, for these large field contests where you need to get different to beat 60,000 people at once, I don't even encourage people to play contests like that. But again, if you got to have fun in DFS, and if that's the way that you're having fun by spending $15 to take a shot at 100K tonight, Spencer Dinwiddie is a guy that I would take a strong look at in this game.
So yeah, I do see a lineup in here. Guys, do send in your lineup. We'll go over it towards the end of the show. This is going to be a little bit extended, so we're going to have plenty of time to take all of your lineup questions because I know a lot of you have them. So, Ghost, now I'll go with you. What is your matchup, or is there a matchup that you like tonight? We just went over Washington, Cleveland, a little bit of Charlotte, but we can go back into that one if you want for Charlotte, Memphis. But where do you want to go tonight first?
I'll leave Charlotte, Memphis when Adam starts because I know he has a lot and he wrote today, so I know he has a lot to say about that one. I'll actually take the Sacramento San Antonio game. This is one that nobody's talking about. Nobody. And it has a 234 over under. Two teams that rank very well in terms of pace, two teams that rank very poorly in terms of defensive rating. Like, this is an absolute beauty of a game environment when it comes for DFS purposes. So like for me, the reason why I like this game too is that you know exactly where the point production is coming from. You know it's going to be DeJounte Murray on the San Antonio side, and on the Sacramento side, if Tyrese Haliburton ends up getting ruled out, which I'll emphasize a point at the end of what I'm about to talk about here. If Tyrese Haliburton ends up getting ruled out, you know it's going to be Davion Mitchell, you know it's going to be Darren Fox, you know it's going to be Buddy Hield. And of course, Harrison Barnes continues to be underpriced on every single slate. At 7,500, this guy, I don't want to say he's been a walking bucket. It's not to that point. It's still Harrison Barnes. But he's been producing so well for Sacramento that he's top 5 in the league in minutes per game already. Like for the past couple of years now, he just plays a ton of minutes. Guys like him, guys like Sabonis, guys like Julius Randle, they don't leave the court. So even if he has a couple of possessions where he's not involved, it doesn't matter because he's playing 40 minutes a night. So for that alone, it makes him in play for me, and especially at a spot where everyone is not only going towards the lower salary of forward, they're absolutely punting it with guys like JaMychal Green, guys like Jeff Green. Like these guys are basically minimum price. I'm not saying going all the way up to Giannis is a solution. We said at the beginning of the show, there's no way I'm playing Giannis. But if you there's a ton of value to be had in that mid-range tonight, and Harrison Barnes at the forward position at least. And Harrison Barnes is one of those guys that really interests me for this particular game environment. If you want a piece from both sides, Harrison Barnes, DeJounte Murray would be my duo there. But do consider Buddy Hield and Davion Mitchell if Tyrese Haliburton ends up getting ruled out. And you could go right back to Eubanks as well. At 4,600, he's being uber efficient out there and he's doing his job. He is doing exactly what is being asked of him, scoring 10 points, grabbing 10 rebounds, playing good D. Like, that's all they need out of this guy. They don't need him to be a reincarnation of Hakeem Olajuwon. Like, they just need him to run up and down the court for 25 minutes and just don't have a negative net rating. That's all it is. And that's exactly what he's been doing. So for them to be able to counter Rashawn Holmes, I get it. Thad Young is a better individual defender, but Eubanks has that size. So I do like Eubanks at 4,600 again. And just to come back to that point that I was saying that I'll come back to now, being able to late swap is huge, guys. Like I thought this was already, I don't want to say common knowledge, but I thought we had already emphasized this enough. But even yesterday, for example, I saw some people saying like, oh, like I didn't think about swapping to Reddish or Herter, etc. Like the NBA slates don't end until the very last game begins. Because you can be improving your lineup. And that's like people ask me, for example, how do you stay on the show and then build your lineup? If I don't have exposure to the 7 p.m. games, I'll enter people at $3,000 and build my lineup for 7:30. Or if I locked in Andre Drummond at 7 p.m. and I have the rest, I take out the other 7 guys. Like it's all about late swapping, right? And when we get that news yesterday that both DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan Bogdanovic are ruled out, you have to make swaps to guys like Cam Reddish and guys like Kevin Huerter, who both of them went bonkers. Huerter dropped 36 DK and Cam Reddish dropped, I think it was 27 or 28 DK. Like this is the kind of stuff where when I woke up this morning to a good night and I saw Cam Reddish at 8% rostership, I was like, man, what? Like, how is this possible? Like, that's how you end up having an advantage over the field, is that if someone like Tyrese Halliburton gets ruled out, getting exposure to Buddy Hield, getting exposure to Davion Mitchell, getting exposure to Darren Fox can be huge, right? So that's where, again, you're not comfortable with your lineup, paying up for LaMelo, paying up for Ja, paying up for all these guys. Darren Fox is sitting there at 8,200. And man, is there anybody out there that's a bigger fan than DeJounte Murray than me on this planet? Absolutely not. I refuse to believe it. But Darren Fox is going to have to push the pace like he does every single night. And he's going to have to run this offense as much as possible to be able to win this game. And that's exactly what I want. 36 minutes of Darren Fox, 36 minutes of DeJounte Murray going at it one another every single time. And it comes at a fraction of the price of other options. It's definitely enticing for me. And this game is going completely overlooked. I don't know why. Bad defenses, up-pace matchup for San Antonio. Obviously, everyone knows Sacramento plays at lightning speed. Highest over-under on the slate right now at 234. And no one's touching it. To me, this is the game that I'm really keeping a close eye on coming up to lock.
Anything to add to that, Adam?
No, I mean, he Ghost pretty much nailed exactly, what we're looking at.
Thought he went over that well, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll go with your next game. Do you want to go over that Charlotte-Memphis game? We've been teasing it. So I think let's get to that one, because that is looking like a game that has a lot of meat on the bones.
Yeah, I mean, both teams, sit pretty high in pace, and Charlotte is, bottom 5 in defensive rating so far. So, we talked about, okay, we love LaMelo Ball, we love Ja Morant. It's kind of easy to love those guys and want to get a piece of that. But, it doesn't really just stop there, because, if the guard spots are a little bit crowded, we have Dylan Brooks questionable, but, that's not going to affect a guy like Desmond Bane. He's still only at 5K. This is still an elite game environment. This guy, he's shooting 37% from 3 right now. That's probably going to come up a little bit. He can be an elite deep shooter in this league. He's still playing at least 30 minutes a night. 5K is probably not enough there. You have Jaren Jackson Jr., who I swear to God is he's 25% owned every single slate, and now suddenly he's not. So, the slates that he's not, I'm way more interested, because he does still have some foul trouble from time to time. He can be a little bit flighty, a little bit hard to project. When he's chalk, I want nothing to do with it. When people kind of aren't paying attention, and you have all the Denver guys kind of eating up all the forward spots, that to me is when you start looking at Jaren Jackson, because he still does have a big-time ceiling. It doesn't always hit. But, if you're looking to get a different edge in this game, instead of LaMelo and Ja, maybe you go Miles Bridges and Jaren Jackson. Almost every single player in this game is on the table to some extent.
Yeah, I actually like that call with Bane and Jackson, by the way. Ghost, what do you think about that as well?
I do like it. The one thing that I'll say is that with Dylan Brooks, at least likely back for this one, no one's going to play Bane or Melton all of a sudden. And while their minutes will, I'll even say slightly come down, it's not going to be drastic enough for you to really notice a difference, right? Desmond Bane is being relied upon to guard wings one-on-one. He's taking on some hefty matchups and he's guarding them one-on-one. And that's exactly what Dylan Brooks was doing. And they're going to ease him back in. They're not just going to say, hey, Dylan Brooks, you're up playing 38 minutes a night now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going 38. You're going 38 minutes toe to toe against Miles Bridges. That's not going to happen. So they need someone to be able to guard Miles Bridges when he's flying up and down the court with LaMelo. It's okay playing John together. 100%. They correlate fine together. So that's where it's that to me, I just want to touch on that. And I really do like the JJJ call. Again, it's for me, that's where I'm looking to get different tonight is the forward spot. Everyone, and I mean everyone. Because all the optimizers, you click a button and all the opto guys there, I'll use a nice term and say the opto guys, are going to play JaMychal Green. They're going to play Jeff Green. They're going to freak when their CSV doesn't work because they didn't spell JaMychal Green properly and this, right? So that to me is a spot where you need to get different, because if you're eating all that chalk, it leads everyone to the same spot. So that to me is the way that I evaluate rostership numbers and what we call chalk, people that are heavily rostered on every slate. That to me is what defers whether I play a player like that or not. On the past 2 slates where Andre Drummond is there, I told people, if you're not playing Andre Drummond, close the app.
Close the app.
It's that simple. Right? So like it's that simple. That's chalk where you just have to eat it. The guy's $5,000 with no Joel Embiid and a 6-man rotation. I don't know what else to say. But when it comes to guys like JaMychal Green, like they're going up against Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner.
These are guys you can get away with taking chances.
Like who
is that a little Herm Edwards?
Who is scoring on Miles Turner? JaMychal Green is gonna post up on Miles Turner.
Probably not gonna end well. He might try
on what planet is JaMychal Green posting up on Miles Turner and succeeding? Like Miles Turner will stuff Joel Embiid in his face on a couple possessions. You think he's not gonna stuff JaMychal Green? Like that for me is a spot where I'm willing to take a chance and get different. I get it. They're minimum price. And it's almost like they're too cheap or it's like, oh, you have to play them. I'll say this now and I'll take a little victory lap there. Everyone said the same thing about Paul Reed yesterday too. And people were saying like, oh, Paul Reed's going bonkers in the first 5 minutes. Ended up at 15 DK. And I'll tell you this right now, on a 13-game slate, not a 3-game slate, a 13-game slate, if you have 15 DK in your lineup, you're behind the 8 ball. Doesn't matter if the guy's 3K, you're behind the 8 ball. There are plenty of other value. You better have a stud that puts up
Steph. Better be hitting
you better have Steph Curry, Jokic, LaMelo, or AD in your lineup. Like that's it. It's to that point, right? So it's like,
and not only do you just need them in the lineup, you need them to hit their absolute ceiling.
You need them to go.
You need
them
to make up the difference.
You need them to make up that difference, right? So getting different with guys like Harrison Barnes, and I love Adam's call about JJJ because this guy is my kryptonite when it comes to DFS. He is my stone cold kryptonite. It's just every time I play him, I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't wake up with a snowflake where this guy drops 7 DK. Like, please. And tonight, nobody's playing him, and he has the nuts matchup.
Right.
He has the nuts. Like, they have wing defenders now, and especially if Dylan Brooks comes back into this game, he will not see a minute against Miles Bridges because they know he is going to get absolutely cooked. So they will keep him away from Miles Bridges, and they'll put him on guys that simply don't get close to the hoop. He can guard Gordon Hayward fixing his hair in the corner. He could go guard Gordon Hayward in peace because he's not going to foul Gordon Hayward. Because he's got to get the pace.
Gordon Hayward catching handles.
He's got to get the pace and going, like in between quarters. So that's fine. He could go guard Gordon Hayward in peace and stay out of foul trouble. And then he's going to absolutely eat on the offensive side of the ball.
So a couple questions here. First about Rubio. Rubio not starting.
Fully
expected.
Fine.
Yeah, fully expected.
Yeah.
And then Kale, another good one. Bain or JJ, Triple J, if you had to pick.
I mean, I think Bain's always going to be safer. Just because he's not going to foul out, but that's all about risk tolerance there.
It seems like Jackson Jr. It seems like a really good pivot for the position that he takes up on the roster spot here. Is that kind of like,
he's double what most people are going to spend on forward. Like people just aren't going to get there,
right? Yeah.
Or if they do get in that range, you're going to play Bobby Portis.
So I'm asking this because we've talked a lot about that Pacers Denver game, but like. The point of, hey, everybody's kind of on a lot of this, maybe you want to pivot away. How much are we pivoting away from this game? Or if you do go for it, what would you like, if anything? Or if it's just not a really good spot because it's chalky and not really the greatest of matchups?
So I think if you end up playing 3 Nuggets, I get it. I'm not going to kill you for it.
Right.
But if you do that, bring it back with a Pacer. There's not a Pacer projected to be over about 10% rostered right now. Why? If you're going to have this much exposure to the game and you're going to put your money into that, hope this game stays close and hope it goes over the 205 total. You have LeVert out. Malcolm Brogdon leads the NBA in touches. He's 7,500. I understand he's missed a couple games because he was sick, but that doesn't really worry me because it's not an injury to come back from. The man leads the league in touches at 7,500. You're already playing guys from this game, and nobody wants to touch them.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. And I just saw a question there about about 13 games still okay to have 2 or maybe 3 of one team. And I mean, you were just talking about the Denver Nuggets, and that you would say, okay, 3 guys make sense, but you would certainly get a pacer. But it does seem like that you can still not game stack, but stack a little bit here on just one team.
For sure,
a couple of players.
Like Ghost mentioned, the Rubio Jared Allen combo.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Not only is it just it's fine to stack those two, it's a great stack together because they correlate so well.
Javonte Green.
He's actually he's a cardio god, so it's gonna be a no for me.
As long as the Bulls are healthy, man. Like those 4 are just gonna
cardio god. The cardio god of the league.
What's the opposite? What's the opposite of that? Because that's me.
Gold medalist. The opposite of that is probably Jean Morant.
Probably a Jon Jansen.
Is it like Andre Drummond? He stands under the basket and does this.
Yeah, probably, and he misses on purpose to get those extra rebounds.
So you get more rebounds.
Yeah, so he gets more boards. He gets offensive boards. He definitely has a clause in his contract for offensive boards or something. Because I've never I've never seen.
He's been missing at the rim.
I've never seen someone miss so many wide open layups on purpose and just all of a sudden be in position for the offensive rebound. Like it's just
a great idea, by the way. You have a fast break, just like miss on purpose and get the rebound, especially if you have like a rebound.
Yeah, it all depends on what's in your bonus structure, too.
Yeah, no, it really does. So you're tuned in with dailysports.com. We're going over the 13-game slate here. Guys, I'll just leave it open. If anybody does have, one more game that they want to go over, and then we could start taking some lineup questions. But what would that be? Because there are some interesting ones, and I think these 2 games intrigue me just a little bit. Obviously, Oklahoma City and New Orleans certainly does, but in a really ugly kind of way.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah. So what is that game?
I like certain pieces out of that Oklahoma game.
Right.
Give me some Josh Giddey and some Joval. Whether Brandon Ingram's in or not, I don't really care because who the hell
gonna feast?
Right, like who is guarding Jonas Valanciunas tonight?
Yeah, Derek Favors is like 45.
Mike Muscala is going to guard Joval, who's top 5 in front court touches. That's not going to happen. He's going to absolutely smash that interior.
Oh, Muscala's going to be
yeah, tell me how that's going to
3-point legend, Mike Muscala. 3-point legend. But I did want to talk about that Denver Indiana game and pretty much what.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
To the avenue of what Adam was saying, like everyone's playing the Denver side.
Is that the way to pivot in this game?
13 game slate. Why are you playing 4 people from the same team? Please do not do that ever. It could be a 5-man rotation. Like they could only have their starting lineup active, and I would still not do that. Like you can't invest in the same roster on a 13-game slate.
Right. There are going to be too many guys going off on this slate.
Right. Like yesterday's different. It's a 3-game slate, no problem. But even when you do that, you have to get the right ones. Like yesterday, not every single Philadelphia 76er went off. Paul Reed didn't do well. Korkmaz didn't shoot well. I think he shot 1 for 25 from behind the
Cork went full along Cam Pauly. Like,
man, this guy couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat yesterday. Right, so it's like it's not automatic that they're min price, they're bound to hit value. I'm telling you, I had the biggest smile ear to ear yesterday about Paul Reed because of that. Because when he had 2 points and 2 rebounds in the first 2 minutes, everyone's like, "Oh, Paul Reed's going off," and the man finished with 15 DK. Like it's just again that there's so many touches, and Denver is a backcourt concentrated team right now because their front court is booty. Like Aaron Gordon is not going to take 35 shots. Like this isn't a slam dunk contest. It's not Aaron Gordon. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and if you are playing him, and if you make the case where Aaron Gordon goes off, I'm not saying that's impossible. If he goes off, it's to that point where you could barely play anybody else because he's not shooting threes. Like, how else is he doing well? That means he's soaking up rebounds. He's soaking up all the touches. Like that. It's just one example when it comes to Aaron Gordon. I could have said that about anybody. It's just one example where it's like, if you're playing one of these guys, how does everybody else get there? You're playing Aaron Gordon. You're playing Will Barton. You're playing JaMychal Green. You're playing Jeff Green. Jeff Green hasn't grabbed a rebound in the 2010s. Jeff Green does not rebound the ball. Like, he has not grabbed a rebound in the past decade. And then
I'm going to fact check that just to make sure.
JaMychal Green,
I think it sounds about right.
JaMychal Green is a beauty. If I need a vet on a playoff roster, JaMychal Green is the very first guy I'm taking in my front court. Coming off the bench, guys like him, guys like JaVale McGee, They are so good come playoff time, and he will be efficient tonight. But again, does he really get there on rebounding and steals and blocks alone? How much is Indiana going to turn over the ball? You're really trusting that Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner are going to turn over the ball? He's not a perimeter defender. So you're anticipating strips down low. Like these are things where, again, it's how do they all get there? What is my path? Forget about path to failure. These guys are $3,000. It's not like they'll completely tank your lineup. But what is your path to ultimate success in taking down $100,000? You need all these guys to go 10 times their price. How does JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon, and Will Barton all combine for 150 DK? How does that happen?
I am surprised Barton is fourth among Nuggets. Like, I understand the salary is way different.
That's the thing. It's like, if I'm playing a Nugget tonight, it's Will Barton.
Right,
I'm going to take the one
offense.
capable starter on that team that knows how to play basketball.
Right.
It's Will Barton. There's one starter on that team.
I don't understand that.
I get it. They're $3,000. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's going to kill your. If he hits 4 times his value and he puts up 12, or he hits 6 times his price and he puts up 18, that's fine. But that's limiting my thought right now, because you have to look at the grand scheme of things. And again, when I'm explaining all of this, you have to look that it's a 13-game slate. The top scorer will be near 400 DraftKings points tonight. Even if he gets 18 with a little cute DraftKings flame emoji, it doesn't matter. It's not enough. It's not enough. Unless you paired him with a Steph Curry 87-point DraftKings point performance, it doesn't work. So if you are taking that route, you need to play guys like Brogdon, Duarte, Sabonis, and Turner. And if you're not taking that route, for me, it's one Nugget only tonight. I'm playing Will Barton. That's it. I'm playing the one hooper that they have left in that starting lineup, and it's Will Barton.
I will be strong over the field over where he's projected right now. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like outside of that, I want Will Barton taking a ton of shots tonight. And if you really want to get different, if you're set on your lineup, spending $3K on some guys, etc., look to the bench. Check the model, check the projections at windailysports.com. Check out guys like Bones Highland. Check out like you have to get different if you're doing that, because if you're playing JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, any combination of these guys, I'm not saying all 4 of them, but if you're playing more than one of Will Barton, Jeff Green, JaMychal Green, and Aaron Gordon, everybody ends up at the same spot. And now you are limiting yourself. You are saying that you are going to beat X amount of people in your contest with 3 players in your lineup. It's not a feasible strategy.
Probably not going to work.
You have to get different there, because if everyone has the same guys, you're looking at a 4v4 or 3v3. You better hope your 3v3 goes absolute bonkers and the other guy sucks, because if not, it's going to be a long night.
All right, so let's go over, and we'll go back to this here. So let's go over a bunch of questions a little rapid fire. Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, real quick before we get there, Brandon Ingram was just ruled out. So
it's Joe time.
Joe Fall is going to eat.
A little double center action with Jared Allen. I'm curious to see what that build looks like.
I think
I love a nice double center build with
either Jared Allen or Bam with Joe Ball looks real nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's go to some questions. Lineup questions, general questions. Let's start with Jimmy. Is not playing anyone in the 10K area a mistake tonight?
I don't want to say mistake. I think this is, at least right now, we're still 20 minutes before the first set of games lock. Like, even with the Denver value, I don't think you need to jam in a 10K plus guy. Like, you can play, LaMelo. Like, there's so many underpriced guys in that mid-range. I don't think it's the worst idea ever. I know we preach stars and scrubs a lot, but I don't necessarily have the full trust in the scrubs to, like, okay, I have to have this 10K guy. I have to make it work. I have to jam in that scrub.
Yeah. Also, any punt plays, basically, 3 to 4K value play. Are there a few, I guess, or ones that you have kind of targeted here?
I mean, I can't really rank them. You have to check the projections to do that. That's if you were to ask me that question in Discord, I would literally just pull up the model and list them one exactly the way that you guys view that, right? So I don't have it in front of me while we're live on air, but one guy that stuck out to me early in the day there was Precious Achiuwa. It's a really gross game environment, but if there's one, like, again, when we talk about the gross game environments, like Adam said, if you're taking one guy out of that, it's fine. We talked about SGA and Giddey, for example,
Right.
Joe Val on that side. Doesn't mean we're full on stacking 2 1-9 teams in the NBA. No, we're just saying like individual plays are fine, but when we're looking at game environments, that's where you get the Sacramento and San Antonio game. It's where you get the Charlotte Memphis game, etc. So in a really gross game environment outside of Fred VanVleet, that's the only other player I would consider in that game. Precious Achiuwa grades out really well because Khem Birch is out, and with Pascal Siakam still getting his conditioning behind him, this is a really good matchup for Achiuwa because Robert Williams is not he's not an imposing dude out there, right? So he's not going up against Embiid. He's not going up against Joker. He's not going up against like a really imposing center. So Achiuwa is going to be relied upon to play some heavy minutes off the bench because, again, Chris Boucher is the king of the doghouse right now.
He is buried in that doghouse.
His butt is super glued to the bench right now. So Precious Achiuwa is going to play a ton of minutes when he's subbing in for Siakam. And when I say a ton, don't expect 38 minutes there. But for a guy coming off the bench, he's going to get into that 20 to 25 minute range. And I do like that against the backup Boston group mixed in with matchups against Robert Williams.
All right, a couple lineups to go over. Our guy Brian coming in, and he was listening, trying to get one in there. Rubio, Martin, Dozier, Barnes, Triple J, Mustard Cheese. I forgot that was his nickname. Barton and Brogdon.
I love the Dozier play. I'll let Adam take this one. I'll just say I love the Dozier play. That's the example that I was preaching before. Right. Everyone's playing all these Nuggets, and they're not. Dozier's a pseudofied hooper that they have, and no one's playing him. But they're playing.
He's under 6% right now, so that's a great way to get a part of the Nuggets.
That is beautiful. You want to keep your punts going. Dozier's a great play. I love that.
Another lineup here from Chris: Rubio, Levine, Grayson, Portis, Allen, Brogdon, Barton, and Gordon.
I think I'm okay with that. I might be a little bit more cash. I don't know if it has a full ceiling, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it that I see.
Ghost.
It's a lot of ownership there. I would come off Aaron Gordon just to make, not only because I don't like him tonight, but just to be able to, because Rubio is going to be ridiculously rostered. Barton's going to be ridiculously rostered. I don't know who else he had in that lineup. I'm trying to find a comment now.
Yeah. I think that's why I was like, I don't know if it is the highest ceiling because there is a ton of ownership. Like,
right, like I do like that, like
play there.
Yeah, like sprinkling guys like Grayson Allen, etc., makes your lineup different. No one's gonna play Brogdon tonight with everybody playing Zach LaVine for $100 more. So that's where your lineup is different, but it's still one player of too much rostership to be able to really see the true ceiling there.
All right, here we go for Miles, Rubio, Martin, Barton, Triple J, Precious, LaMelo, Bane, and Ja.
That's sick.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I. Well,
my bad. I thought I was on mute.
Just the without hesitation. That's
yeah, my bad. I thought I was on mute. My bad.
I was gonna say I'm not sure if I won 3 Memphis, but you know what? I don't think it's the worst play in that game environment. I'll retract that. I do like that.
Nice. Okay. Because I know we talked about Bane and Job as one, but yeah, obviously adding the Triple J in there. So that's an interesting one. That's sick, in the words of Ghost. That is so funny. That's look at how embarrassed.
I thought I was on mute because Miles has been with us for such a long time, and the guy's the biggest beauty. Like, he just comes in there, posts his lineup, and it's the absolute nuts.
Yeah,
and
so they just because Willie Hoops
and he leaves and he wins. He wins it. Literally pops in there, drops his lineup on the table, and just has the nuts. And we're like, yeah, it's sick, man. And then he goes, wins all the money, says thank you, lather, rinse, repeat. Like that's it. It's just what a great guy.
So Willie Hoops saying Rubio not starting again. That's
exactly what we want.
Yeah,
that's exactly. That's what we had all day, and that's exactly what I want. I don't want him starting because of that green check syndrome there, where people just are obsessed with people playing green check marks. So
basically the green check mark doesn't. It's like I guess I can compare it to like Danny Green. Just because he gets a green check mark doesn't mean he's going to be playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and Adam and I say that. I think we both said that probably up to 10 days in a row now with the whole Philadelphia situation where and starting does not equate minutes nor DFS production. So
I literally just added our chat and said it's expected. It's what we want. Don't worry.
No,
keep
exactly.
plugging-
You
just
don't
keep
because
plugging him in.
you don't want him on. First of all, he can't start because he needs the ball in his hands. He cannot play off ball for the life of him, and neither can Darius Garland. So you can't have Ricky Rubio starting at the 2. It doesn't make sense.
All right, and another lineup here from our guy John. Morant, Payne, Dozier, Green, J-Val. I like J-Val in there. LaMelo, Bane, Rubio.
Just flip Rubio Morant because it's going to bug me. Always backload the lineups, guys.
What's that?
Thank you.
I said always backload the lineups.
There you
Rubio
go.
starts first. So Morant goes in the utility, plus you have more money to play with if something happens.
So, that lineup, though, other than that, looking good.
Yes. Other than that, I did like it.
Nice. All right, guys. So, 50
We gotta check
minutes.
Brian's last one. I told him we would check. I told
Oh,
Brian we
awesome.
would
All right,
check
we'll
his
check the last one then. That's great. Stars
See,
and Scrub.
Brian, I remember that we checked all your lineups today.
We checked
Rubio.
every single one of them. About 5 of them.
Rubio, Simons, Powell. I wouldn't go to Portland
Simons
guys
or
tonight.
Simmons?
Yeah, whatever one the Portland announcers. They called him Simmons again yesterday. I was like,
Did they
okay,
really?
no, I was like, hey, this is out of control. I
We're
was
not
like,
doing
it's
this
their
again.
own I was like, this is their own broadcast. I thought we had gone over this. Like, I was like, what's going on? But the only reason why, again, this is more of a model X gut call there. It's more model than gut call, but I really do support it when it comes to this. There, it's I think Portland gets their socks blown off tonight by Phoenix. Honestly, like, I'm sorry to tell you, bro. I know you're a Portland bro.
No Portland
Like,
slander. He said no
think-
Portland slander. You just
I will
slandered
slander
him
Portland
right in his
until they
face.
unlock Damian Lillard. I'm
Like-
tired of playing him and watching him
Like-
suck. I'm over
They
it.
should just trade him to the Sixers.
Like,
They should at this point.
By the way,
I agree.
tell
Yeah,
Daryl
absolutely.
Morey to chill a bit. Asking
Yeah,
for
I mean, he's
Jaylen
not
Brown,
getting these
Marcus
people,
Smart,
okay?
Robert
Come on.
Williams, and like 7 first-round picks for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, calm down. It ain't happening.
Chill.
I would
the
do
only
that
thing-
in a heartbeat.
The only thing I'd say, Brian, for your lineup, and this is just me, I'd put LaMelo in the guard spot, and I'd want one of the big men, either Mo Bamba or Wendell Carter, ahead of Cole Anthony.
And one guy I
It's
will
the-
mention, because I saw McGee's in your lineup, one guy that I really feel like playing tonight is Frank Kaminsky.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
Because everybody's been playing this man at 99% rostership. He's up. His price went up a couple $100. DeAndre Ayton remains out, and everyone's just flocking to the new news. It's JaMychal Green. It's Jeff Green. So if you're not comfortable getting up to JJJ, you're not comfortable getting up to Harrison Barnes, etc., Frank Kaminsky has been fitting my builds pretty well there at 5K, and I'm willing to take a shot.
Cannot believe you just mentioned Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank
Show.
on 13 Gamer.
Unbelievable. You know what? This is where we.
I'm
have
gonna
to-
remember this for the
No,
clip.
no,
I'm gonna
this is-
tell you tomorrow
this
when
is
I
where
wake
we have
up.
to end it.
4:31 in the
Kaminsky.
morning. I am blowing up your phone saying, "Clip that, clip it."
Frank the Tank.
Oh, boy.
All right, that's where we're gonna end things.
We should have clipped the LaMelo AD.
We should
Joker
have, by the way.
segment.
We
That
should
was
have.
the
That was a great call.
stone nuts.
But let's
Frank
wrap
Tank.
things up here. WinDailySports.com. 53 minutes of NBA talk for you, helping you with the big 13-game slate. Round of
That's
applause to Ghost and Adam for helping out with that. They came to me and said, hey, let's go long here. Let's make sure we got everything set up for everyone. So I'm absolutely great that we were able to do it 53 minutes here all the way up to 6:30. Good luck tonight. They'll still be in the Discord chat helping you guys out, helping you find some plays for tonight. I know things are going to be continuing to change, and there are a lot of combinations you can come up with tonight, and we highlighted that here. But be in the Discord chat, WinDailySports.com. Go in there and go find the link for the Discord. It's under Academy, and then you'll be able to see the link to the Discord chat in there. Also, this is all sponsored by Sharp, sharp.link. Find all the ways you can download the Sharp app, whether it is the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And we'll be back with tomorrow with more NBA DFS talk right here at WinDailySports.com.